My mother-in-law handed me a cleaning schedule at dinner, assigning me to clean her house every Saturday forever. My husband went nuts when I made him do it. She handed it to me at dinner, right there at the table in front of my husband Lonnie and their whole family, like she was passing me a menu. It was laminated. She had taken the time to type it up and print it and have it laminated like this was a company policy. The schedule had time slots from 9 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, kitchen, bathrooms, dusting, vacuuming, laundry, deep clean rotation, checkboxes next to everyone. At the bottom, in bold letters, any missed Saturday must be made up the following week in addition to the regular schedule. I looked at it. I looked at her. I looked at Lonnie. Lonnie was cutting his chicken and not looking at anyone. What is this? I kept my voice flat because if I said it the way I wanted to say it, Lonnie's family would spend the next 10 years calling me the one who ruined dinner. His mother, Claudette, folded her hands on the table. I'm 62 years old and this house is too much for me on my own. Lonnie is my only son and you're his wife, and this is what wives do. They help. She said they help the way someone would say the sky is blue. Like I was the only one in the room too stupid to see it. Claudette, I work full time. Monday through Friday. Saturday is my only day off. She nodded. I know. That's why I picked Saturday. You're free. She said free like my day off was an empty container she had every right to fill. Like because I wasn't at my job, that meant I was available, and because I was available, that meant I was hers. I looked at Lonnie again. He was still cutting his chicken. He had been cutting that same piece of chicken for about 45 seconds, and it was already in pieces small enough for a toddler. Lonnie, do you want to say something here? He looked up like I'd woken him from a nap. I mean, she's my mom. She does need help around the house. That was it. That was his contribution. His mother just handed his wife a laminated chore chart and told her to report for duty every Saturday for the rest of her life, and his response was, she does need help. I put the schedule face down on the table. I'm not doing this. Claudette's face didn't change. She was ready for this. She'd expected me to push back because she had a whole second act prepared. I told Lonnie last week that I needed help and he agreed this was a good idea. Didn't you, Lonnie? Lonnie nodded without looking at me. He had known for a week. He'd let his mother ambush me at dinner with a laminated schedule because he didn't have the spine to tell me himself, and he didn't have the spine to tell her no. You agreed to this? I asked him directly. I didn't think it was that big a deal. It's just a few hours on Saturday. Just a few hours. 6 hours every single Saturday forever. That's what he called not a big deal. Claudette leaned forward. I kept this house spotless for 35 years while raising Lonnie by myself. I'm not asking for much. I'm asking for 1 day a week. She wasn't asking at all. She was handing me a laminated assignment with checkboxes. There is nothing about that qualifies as asking. Lonnie's Aunt Coral chimed in from the end of the table. I think it's sweet. She's treating you like family. She was treating me like the help with a dress code, because at the bottom, Claudette had also written, please wear clothes you can clean in. No open-toed shoes. I stood up from the table. I didn't yell. I picked up my plate and glass and walked into Claudette's kitchen and washed them in the sink, dried them, put them back. Then I walked to the table and picked up the laminated schedule. I'm going to hold on to this. I said it calm, and I left. Lonnie followed me to the car 10 minutes later because it took him that long to decide who he was more afraid of. He didn't talk the whole way home. Good. The next Saturday, Lonnie left the house at 8:30 in the morning. He said he was going to help his mom with some stuff around the house. I said okay. He came back at 4 in the afternoon looking tired and irritated. I was on the couch reading a book. She had me doing the whole schedule. He said it like he expected sympathy. I know. I've read it. It's laminated. He stood in the living room waiting for me to ask how it went or tell him he didn't have to do it again. I turned a page. She said you were supposed to be there. I didn't look up. I wasn't. The second Saturday he left again. Came back at 3:45. Slower this time. He sat down across from me. She's got me cleaning the grout in the guest bathroom with a toothbrush. The third Saturday, Lonnie came back looking like someone put him through a car wash. Bleach stains on his jeans. He walked past me without speaking. The fourth Saturday he left without saying whatever he'd turned around to say. Came home with dust in his hair and bleach so strong I could taste it. Tuesday evening over pasta, he said his mom asked why I hadn't been over. I told him I wasn't her housekeeper. Saturday number 5, he came home angry with his hands shaking. She'd added more stuff. Reclean the entire guest bathroom plus organize the garage, which wasn't on the schedule. She said it was implied. I went back to my book. He stood there waiting for me to get mad. I turned the page. Wednesday evening, he proposed a compromise. I'd come every other Saturday and we'd split the work. 3 hours each instead of 6 for him. I asked why compromising meant I did some of the work his mother assigned to me instead of him telling her the whole thing was unreasonable. His face got hard. He said I was being difficult. I said I was being clear about boundaries. He grabbed a pillow and blanket and sat up on the couch himself. Thursday evening, Claudette called my phone. Sweet voice like honey left in the sun too long. She suggested lunch to talk things through. I told her I would not be cleaning her house on Saturdays or any other day, and if she needed help, she should hire a cleaning service. The sweet voice disappeared like someone flipped a switch. She said I was poisoning her relationship with her son. I said goodbye while she was still talking. Friday, my coworker Danielle took me to lunch and I told her everything. She said her ex-husband's mother did something similar, wanted her to quit her job, be available constantly. It started small and got bigger. When Danielle set boundaries, the mother turned the family against her. That's part of why he was her ex. She said I was doing the right thing. Saturday number 6. Lonnie came home at 4:45 and said he was done. He'd spent 40 minutes scrubbing baseboards with a toothbrush while his mother stood there pointing out spots he missed, like he was the help, like he was too stupid to see dirt. She treated him like her incompetent employee. He said she could hire someone. I said okay. He looked at me expecting more. I opened my book. Sunday, his phone rang 4 times in 10 minutes. His Aunt Coral called saying Claudette was heartbroken, and how could he abandon the woman who raised him alone? His cousin Trudy called saying family helps family. Then Claudette herself, loud enough to fill the room, saying that woman had poisoned him, and he needed needed to be a man and handle his wife. Lonnie held the phone away from his ear and looked at me. I waited to see what he would do. Tuesday, a woman named Lola Santoro came to our door. She used to know Lonnie's half-brother's wife. She said Claudette did this before, told the other wife to be her full-time caretaker. The woman said no. Claudette made the son choose. He chose his wife and moved 3 states away 15 years ago. She tells people he abandoned her, but she pushed him away. Later, I showed Lonnie photos of the brother he barely remembered. He said it was different. I asked how. He said she raised him alone. I said that doesn't mean she owns you forever. Then he said, maybe I should be grateful he was doing the cleaning instead of me. He actually thought I should thank him for not forcing me into servitude. I went to bed and left him holding photos of a history he was repeating without seeing it. Wednesday morning, Lonnie was gone without a note. His car was at Claudette's house. Thursday evening, Claudette called crying, real crying, saying she couldn't breathe and her chest hurt and she needed the emergency room. Lonnie grabbed his keys and left. 4 hours later, he came back. Every test came back normal. The doctor suggested anxiety. I asked if he thought the timing was weird. A health emergency the day after he said he was done cleaning. His jaw got tight. He said I was suggesting his mother would fake a medical emergency. I went to bed without arguing. Saturday morning, Lonnie said he wasn't going to his mother's house. He turned off his phone and put it in the drawer. I told him I would not be manipulated into becoming his mother's servant, and if he couldn't set boundaries, we had a serious marriage problem beyond house cleaning. He needed to decide what kind of husband and son he wanted to be. Sunday, Coral invited us to dinner. The whole family was there. Claudette started sobbing the second she saw Lonnie, saying he abandoned her and she could have died alone. Lonnie told her the doctors said nothing was wrong and suggested she see a therapist. The room went dead quiet. Her tears stopped like a switch flipped. She turned to me and called me a selfish woman who trapped her son, too lazy to help an elderly woman with basic housework. Lonnie stood up shaking but steady. He said I worked full-time and deserved my day off. The person being unreasonable was her. He said we were leaving. On the drive home, Lonnie pulled into an empty parking lot and put his head on the steering wheel. He said he was seeing his mother clearly for the first time. He kept thinking about those photos of his brother and how his brother saw the same thing 15 years ago and never looked back. He understood now why his brother left. I touched his shoulder and told him her sacrifices as a parent didn't entitle her to unlimited access to his adult life or his wife's labor. It didn't have to end the way it ended with his brother. Wednesday evening, he told me he was wrong to agree to his mother's plan and wrong to let her ambush me at dinner. He'd always been afraid of disappointing her, and that fear made him sacrifice my comfort and our marriage to keep her happy. He said it looking right at me, not at the floor. I told him I needed him to be my partner first and her son second. He said he understood but was scared. I said being scared was okay. Doing it anyway was what mattered. Saturday morning, Lonnie called his mother. Steady voice. He said he would not be cleaning her house today or any other Saturday. If she needed help, she should hire a professional or ask him for financial help to pay for one. She launched into the guilt trip. He said he loved her, but he wasn't her servant, and neither was his wife. He hung up while she was still talking. His hands were shaking, but he looked relieved, like he'd been holding his breath for years. Sunday morning, Claudette showed up pounding on our door. Full speech about how ungrateful and cruel he was. He listened without interrupting. When she finished, he said quietly that if she ever tried manipulating him with fake health emergencies again, or spoke disrespectfully about his wife, he would reduce contact to holidays only. Her face went white. She walked to her car without another word. 3 weeks of silence. Then Claudette texted that she'd hired a cleaning service. Lonnie invited her to dinner at a restaurant. Neutral ground. The dinner was stiff but civil. Nobody mentioned the cleaning schedule. Not warm, but not hostile. Progress. At Thanksgiving, we came for dessert only. Claudette was coldly polite but made no scene. Coral pulled me aside and said quietly she respected how I handled things and admitted the cleaning demand was unreasonable. 2 months settled into a rhythm. Thursday evening phone calls kept to 20 minutes. Twice monthly visits lasting exactly 2 hours with coffee and store-bought cookies. She didn't ask me to clean anything. One evening washing dishes, Lonnie said it felt weird having distance from his mother, but also peaceful, like he could breathe all the way down for the first time since he was a kid. I told him that was what healthy boundaries felt like. 6 months later, we hosted a dinner party, and Lonnie mentioned his mother had called asking if we needed help. He told her we had it handled. She asked instead of demanding, offered instead of assigning, accepted his no without staging a crisis. Our relationship with Claudette would probably always have tension underneath, but the power dynamic had changed permanently because Lonnie wouldn't let her control us anymore. Our partnership was stronger because we survived this test and learned to be a team instead of two people pulled in different directions by guilt and obligation.